This is part 2 to my Percy Jackson series, season 1 honest review. In this part, I'll be talking about the things I did not like. Now, I reread the books, I listened to the audiobooks, and I took a bunch of notes, so I did come prepared. The thing I didn't like that the network did was choose 8 episodes rather than 22 based off the original chapters. A regular season could easily have been 30 episodes, but they chose to do 8, and I think that really messes up the storyline because they had to rush so many different parts, and they didn't even give character developments to Annabeth and Grover, or even explain very important details to the story. So another thing that this series did not do well, I think, was character development, and I think that has to be because of the 8 episode decision. Because they didn't have enough time to develop these characters, it really hurts the story. With Percy, he's supposed to be sassy and snarky. He's supposed to have funny moments in the book that I found really enjoyable and really lighthearted, and would have added to the story because this series seemed more serious than it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, fun and action filled, and I feel like the movies gave us that more than the series. They really missed out on Grover's character with not showing his ability to speak to animals, especially with Gladiola, the pink poodle, which we'll touch on later, with the animals in the truck when they're going to Los Angeles, and I think that really hurts his character because he's just shown as like a sidekick or somebody who's there to help support Annabeth and Percy, but he has so much more to his character, and I think that really doesn't help his character development at all. And even with Annabeth's Chase character, she is a wise girl. She has all the information needed for times of trouble, and she's a great fighter, but she also has a fear of spiders, which isn't even mentioned, and I think that shows although she is strong, she is vulnerable, and she does get scared of things. And she also has dreams of building monuments dedicated to the Greek gods, and I think showing dreams that she has would have really helped develop her character a bit more, and even the fact that she has dyslexia just like Percy, and that's not even touched upon after the first episode, which makes no sense because in the book it's mentioned that these two cannot even read some of the signs for things that they go to, and Grover has to read it for them and help them out. Luke's character, I feel like, could have had more development and shown more of a relationship with Percy. Because they had such little episodes, they did not even show him training Percy in sword fighting or having him trust him more and developing a relationship with him that Percy really saw as a friendship, and would have made the betrayal hurt a bit more. And because the final episode was so rushed, they just included that as like a montage, and I think that really didn't show us how hurt Percy really was. The other thing was the lighting. I don't understand why they chose to do such dark lighting for so many parts of the episodes. I couldn't even see half the things that were going on, specifically in the underworld. I had to turn off all the lights in my room and turn up my laptop lighting just to see what was going on, and I think they need to work on that. The other thing that they missed out on was the Percabeth moments. I think there were so many good moments in the books that we could have seen through their interactions. They had such playful banter, and it was so lighthearted and fun, and it made it really enjoyable to, read the books. I think they should have included that in the series just to see how their relationship would develop over time. And even when they're talking on the train about their home life, I think would have been so impactful. They should have included more, I think, because these Percabeth moments are so important to see the relationship develop over the series, and I think they really missed out on that. Something else that the show should have included was Percy's inner monologue. I think there were some parts where he was just so funny, and it would have been nice to hear his perspective on different things that were going on. And so another thing I think they should have done differently was capture the flag at nighttime as it was supposed to be, because this scene would have been so impactful to see how the trident was glowing and everybody could see that he had finally been claimed rather than it being like in the daylight. I think this would have been so much more cooler, because then this leads to the Hellhound being summoned to the camp, and this would have been an interesting scene to see because we're seeing the campers fighting an actual monster for the first time, and also seeing that something is really wrong, because how can a monster be let into the camp without somebody doing it? And that leads Percy to really seeing that something is wrong and something has to be done. This also has to deal with the fact that Disney had picked up this series rather than, let's say, Amazon Prime or HBO Max, because if those other networks would have chosen to pick up this series, we would have had more creative freedom, I think, and being able to see the full story to what it should have been. Like for The Summer I Turned Pretty, where yes, we did get around 10 episodes or 8 episodes, but the episode lengths were way longer than 40 minutes, which is not enough time to tell a story. And we were also able to see more characters and the development between their dynamics. I didn't like that they already automatically had their characters assume and know right away what the problem was. In the books, I liked how natural it was, where they were assessing the situation at first, like with Grover and Annabeth, for example, when they were at Medusa's, and she was sitting them down for a portrait. Annabeth and Grover had realized, oh wait, this is Medusa. So they told Percy to get up, and that's when they realized, something was wrong. Instead of, her explaining everything, I think it would have been more interesting to see their dynamic of them, like, already figuring out things rather than them already knowing it. And I think because of that, it, like, shows how rushed the episodes were, and it shows that it's not really put together and it's not organic. Last episode of the series, we see Annabeth lending her necklace to Percy as a good luck charm, and in the series, I don't think they even mention the significance behind that, especially the ring on her necklace. And the significance is that it's her father's college ring, and it has a tie with him and Athena, and I think they should have included more information about that, especially for newer viewers, since most of them probably have never read the books or didn't even realize what it was. And it's even significant towards the end of the book, where Percy ends up getting his own necklace and his bead with a trident painted on it for him, signifying that he had finished his quest. And it shows that he's being accepted and finally understood by a whole group of people who knows exactly how he feels. And in part 1, I really did enjoy this series. This video specifically just goes into the network's choices and what the series could have made better. And I think because they chose an 8-episode option, it just really did not help the story go along. It just felt really rushed, and they missed so many important details that I think it's just going to hurt the story later on, just because there was just not enough information going in. Especially with the next few seasons, there's going to be new characters, new dynamics, and new story details that most people won't be aware of unless you've actually read the books. It's going to be very confusing, and I think having more episodes would be more impactful and helpful to the story, bringing it along and give us more information. Next 2 parts, I'm going to be talking about some suggestions and things I think the show should have done in order to make this series exactly how we wanted it to be portrayed. And I think because of that, there's so many details left behind that I think the story should have kept in and would have been so important for later on. And there is only 22 chapters in this book, so I think having 22 episodes wouldn't have been such a bad thing. So go watch part 3 and 4 for that, and I would love to know your thoughts and comments below. What didn't you like about this series, if you are a new or old fan, and what do you think they should have changed?